All right. Looks like we are officially live. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to our July 2026 FinCrime Friday Chat. It's an exciting one today because this week is the last week before the premier financial crime and compliance virtual learning experience of the year. That's right, guys. FinCrime Virtual Week is coming up next week. And if you are not registered to attend, fix that today. It is free and open to the community, and there is no better way to elevate your skills, to connect with a global community of other financial crime and compliance professionals, and to learn from the best of the best in this industry. So make sure that you are registered for that. You can find that under our events tab right here. You can see at the bottom of the screen at acfcs.org under upcoming events. It is the first event right there that you can go ahead and register for. So please go ahead and make sure that you do that. And we're going to be talking about all of the incredible stuff that you will be missing next week if you don't register for FinCrime Virtual Week. This is officially our FinCrime Virtual Week sneak peek, and we're going to be talking about all of the great topics, all of the incredible sessions, and all of the amazing thought leaders, strategists, investigators, and industry leaders who are going to be our speakers and expert guides through FinCrime Virtual Week. As usual, we are here with our great Aaron O'Loughlin, our Senior Director of Training, Brian Svoboda-Kindle, our VP of Product and Programming, and Cheyenne Visca, our Senior Training Manager. And guys, we're going to just go ahead and jump. Well, actually, first, before we jump into it, everybody introduce yourselves. Say hi real quick. Aaron, Brian.
Oh, hello. I thought you were asking them to say hello in the chat because I was looking at the chat and I was seeing that Mohammed has said he's waiting. Kimberly says Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're live. I think Mohammed jumped in there. So yes. Also, we are here and we want to know where you are tuning in from. So please, let's do a quick roll call and let's hear from all of you. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what you're excited about for FinCrime Virtual Week. Let us know if you're registered for FinCrime Virtual Week. And if you're not, we'll make sure that we put a link into the comments as well so that you can get yourself registered. So go ahead and do that. And also throughout our conversation, if you guys have thoughts, comments, questions, insights that you would like to share with our team here, please go ahead and drop those in the comments. We'll try to respond to as many as we can. And later on, if we don't get to them live, we will try to respond to them in the comments as well. So again, we want to hear from you. Let us know where you're tuning in from with that roll call. But so today we're looking ahead to ACFCS's biggest event of the year, FinCrime Virtual Week, and that's coming up next week, August 3rd through the 7th. This year's theme is Myths and Legends. The agenda asks financial crime professionals to examine which long-standing assumptions still serve us, which myths may be holding you back, and which new risks are emerging beyond the edges of the known map. So joining me today, like I said, are Aaron, Brian, and Cheyenne, and we're going to give a great preview of the event. We're going to talk about the topics that we're most excited about. But as usual, before we do that, let's jump into our FinCrime headlines. So right off the bat, we have a story from Interpol. Okay, so Interpol operation leads to 5,811 arrests and $293 million in intercepted funds. On July 9th, Interpol announced the results of Operation First Light 2026, coordinated effort involving 97 countries and territories. Wow. The operation targeted social engineering fraud, including business email compromise, romance scams, impersonation fraud, sextortion, and investment schemes, and resulted in over 5,800 arrests and the interception of approximately $293 million in illicit assets. Case demonstrates both the global scale of organized fraud and the importance of international cooperation, rapid information sharing, and coordinated asset recovery efforts. So who wants to take this one?
I can jump in if you want.
All right.
Yeah, happy to provide a little commentary. I mean, this is encouraging, obviously. You know, Interpol does a lot of these coordinated actions and sweeps. I think the discouraging part comes in the figure, right? There's almost 300 million worth intercepted, which indicates that a vast amount was lost to these social engineering frauds. There's also always this sort of thought, at least in the back of my head, of what I've heard some members of law enforcement say: we only catch the dumb ones, right? Is this the sort of the scraping up of the lower end of the barrel? I mean, I think Interpol generally probably catches more than just the pure dumbest of the dumb, but there's obviously a huge world of fraud out there. And just as a sneak peek to FinCrime Virtual Week, one of the things we will be talking about is the prevalence of fraud as a financial crime risk. And if you tune into our kickoff session with FinCEN, Dara Daniels will be giving you some insights on the key risks that FinCEN's tracking. And spoiler alert, the majority of the session is going to be about fraud. We're going to talk about fraud risks and various typologies of fraud, because it's the number one category of SAR filings in the United States, constitutes a similar majority of STR, UAR, whatever the name is in your jurisdiction, in a lot of other countries. And there was recently a U.S. House of Representatives committee meeting, which they talked about fraud, and they framed it from an interesting angle. They talked about it as the number one property crime in the country. And if you had folks breaking into your house and stealing $10,000, people would take that very seriously, right? But it's not always seen as the same level of law enforcement response and even private sector financial institution response if it's stolen from a bank account. So it's good to see these efforts. It's good to see this reframing of fraud as a transnational issue. I think we have a couple other stories. We'll pull the thread further on that theme. But just to give a sneak preview of FinCrime Virtual Week, we're going to be talking about that quite a bit during the course of the week and continuing to pull that thread during the event.
All right. Well, look, we got lots of people tuning in. We've got Christian from Tanzania. Love it. Mohammed from the UAE. Even saw Wasim there. Great to see you again, Wasim. And Antoinette, looking forward to seeing you next week at FinCrime Virtual Week. Go ahead and make sure you get registered. And then, of course, Kimberly, great to have you and glad you're so excited. We can't wait to see you next week. All right. Headline number 2. UN agency warns that scam centers are trafficking workers from more than 80 countries. So the Associated Press reported that the International Organization for Migration is seeing a significant rise in human trafficking connected to online scam compounds. Victims are frequently recruited through fraudulent job advertisements, transported across borders, and then detained or threatened into conducting investment, romance, and impersonation scams. The story illustrates how human trafficking, cyber-enabled fraud, and money laundering increasingly operate as one interconnected criminal business model, not as separate financial crime categories, which of course is a common theme in these headlines and in our conversations at FinCrime, or on our FinCrime Friday chats. We are constantly talking about these scam centers and how they become a nexus for different types of crime. So Aaron, I know you've talked about these before. You want to take this one?
Yeah, I'd love to and hate to at the same time, because I don't want to talk about this anymore because I want it to be gone. It's a human trafficking, and being in the space, I'm not alone when I say that the anti-human trafficking space is a passion of mine, because that's largely a lot of us in this field. That's why we're in this field, to find the money and go after this disgusting behavior and the illegal activity and the victims that are being victimized because of it. If there weren't money moving across borders, across regions, across to different organized crime groups, then there wouldn't be any victimization, right? There wouldn't be any crime, because if the money wasn't there, they're not going to do any of these things. I'm not saying we get rid of all fiat currency. I'm not saying that. It's just, this is why it's a passion of mine. So I read this article, and I kind of wanted to say, well, thanks for joining the party. But we've been seeing, the last 2 years have shown us that we as compliance officers and law enforcement and regulators all together in one lump sum, we're seeing last at least 2 years, I could probably be off on that one, that we need to be looking at these types of transactions differently. We used to look at transactions coming through, ACH transactions out and in, and wires and peer-to-peer and all that as just kind of binary, one way or the other way, that sort of thing. But now it's, hey, is this a fraudster? Yes or no. Now, is this a fraudster that's being victimized? Are they a victim of human trafficking? And that's been brought to the party. And I think that we obviously need to be throwing this out there a lot more. I don't know if any of you have seen on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn and YouTube, I believe. The Aaron West and Paul Rafile have been putting out their videos and their posts, for friends of ours, by the way, which I'm super, super happy and glad. I want to support them and throw them a shout out for what they're doing is amazing. They're going to Nigeria and they're actually confronting these people and learning a lot. Now, is there a danger in that? Probably. I'm worried for my friends. Is it something that we need to be doing? We all need to be doing? I don't know, but it's making an impact, I hope. And we're getting the word out a lot more about what's going on, about the threats, the violence, the weird way that these transactions are coming, not that weird way, the way that we can look at these transactions differently. And I think they're bringing a lot of attention to it. And we definitely want to bring more attention to the scourge of crime. I mean, there's thousands of workers that have been victimized, that are being victimized, and it's trafficking plus the fraud. So this also shows that, when I left Bank of America way back in the day, well, a while ago, we had fraud and AML sort of siloed. Where a lot of these institutions were siloed. And when I was leaving, and what I've been hearing now is a lot of these are coming together because you got to think differently to be able to combat this crime. And I believe now this is yet another layer of thinking differently. We got to think differently. We got to look at FinCEN and ask, are there more boxes that we can pull out and that we can call out for transparency in the SAR data that we can have? Because right now, a lot of times you just click the other suspicious activity and we don't know what other suspicious activity could necessarily be with the data. We can't call out really hawalas in the section there that you have. We can't call out, human trafficking due to scam compounds or something like that. I'm just throwing ideas out. Maybe we can come to the table and talk about how we can make our transparency a little bit better when it comes to the evolving world of crime, financial crime, and victimization. I know I kind of rambled on that one.
Hey, no, that is a excellent response, and I think that is very accurate. So, third headline that we'll jump into, this one here is the FBI and Cambodia discuss greater cooperation against transnational scam networks. So probably similar to what we just talked about a little bit, but the Associated Press also reported that FBI Director Kash Patel met with Cambodian officials to discuss closer cooperation against international online scam operations. The talks followed a regional summit involving nearly 20 countries and reflected growing concern about scam centers operating in Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos, including facilities linked to forced labor and human trafficking. The story reinforces a major theme of FinCrime Virtual Week, which is modern financial crime threats, cross borders, payment systems, and traditional investigation silos, requiring stronger public, private, and international partnerships. Cheyenne, I think you're teed up for this one. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think it builds off of a lot of what we were just talking about, but also the last several years, this has come up time and time again. And we have gotten updated reports. And if anything, it just shows that the problem is still getting worse. So the pig butchering, the investment schemes, those sorts of things where you do have that nexus of both human trafficking and fraud and scams and victims, it's still very much at the forefront. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Stay diligent. Education is a huge part of it, but also having the compassion for both the people in those trafficking schemes as well as the victims of those schemes is, I think, very critical. So we've talked a lot about this, I think, the last 2 to 3 years at ACFCS, and we've worked with some really amazing people, as Aaron mentioned earlier, who do some really important work in the space. So it's good to see the US taking this seriously. It's good to see more and more cross-country bridges to help, address, because this is really transnational crime. This is transnational organized crime. So without a united front, I think we will continue to struggle with it. So it's good to see some forward progress.
All right, movement in the right direction. So, so clearly, as these headlines show, FinCrime Virtual Week is arriving at a pretty critical moment for where we are in the financial crime landscape today. Fraud has become increasingly industrialized. Criminal networks are combining social engineering, new digital assets, AI, professional money laundering, human trafficking, and cross-border payment channels to operate at clearly enormous scale. And that creates a difficult challenge for FinCrime pros like everyone who's tuning in today. And that's that we can't address these interconnected criminal networks through disconnected compliance functions. And again, that's where FinCrime Virtual Week comes in. So next week, we're all going to get together and we're going to talk out some of these things. We're going to get ideas, we're going to get tactics, we're going to get tools and strategies, for working across these different silos to enhance not only your career and your promotion and growth in your career, but also your ability to help fight the bad actors out there. So a few things on this year's agenda include sessions, as we mentioned, on FinCEN's assessment of the major financial crime risks and SAR trends. We're going to see sessions on Chinese professional money laundering organizations and their connections to drug cartels. We're going to have sessions on sanctions evasion, shadow banking, digital assets, elder fraud, deepfakes, synthetic identities and AI-enabled fraud, stablecoin, crypto, insider threats, cross-border investigations, and then, of course, lots and lots of focus on career development, networking, hiring trends, pathways to increasing and enhancing your career. So again, one of the best professional development opportunities that you'll have this year, and the fact that it is free is an absolute goldmine. Go register today. You cannot beat the value that you will get by attending FinCrime Virtual Week. Also new for 2026 are going to be some longer deep dive sessions on the myths of compliance, conversations designed to challenge conventional thinking about transaction monitoring, money laundering models, and effective compliance programs. You'll have the opportunity to access interactive case studies. We're going to have live Q&As, practical exercises, some speed networking. That's always a blast. And of course, you'll have the opportunities to earn up to, I believe, 24 continuing education credits. All right, so let's just jump right into our conversation about FinCrime Virtual Week. So for Brian, let's start with you. For someone hearing about FinCrime Virtual Week for the first time, like what's the elevator pitch? How do you describe what we actually are gathering to do, and what makes it different from other financial crime conferences?
Yeah. Well, I think you actually did a great job of giving the pitch there. But to expand on it a little bit, it sounds crazy, right? It is a week-long event. There's no other virtual or live event that I've encountered that packs this much coverage, content, learning, networking into a single event. And it is a total bonanza of learning and networking opportunities. It's actually, if you were to attend every single session, I don't think you could physically handle it. But if you want to try, you can get 26 and a half continuing education credits. But I mean, the week-long aspect of it, while it's also, fun, interesting, exciting, allows for you to customize your agenda, attend at your leisure, availability, etc. The fact that it's a week is also really interesting in the way that it deepens the learning. Every time, every year, both intentionally and frankly unintentionally, we try to design the agenda very thoughtfully and carefully to bring interconnected topics, etc. But it ends up working out that one thing in one session will dovetail into another session, increase the learning, enhance a point that was brought up. So, we're kicking the session off with Darren from FinCEN giving a look at the latest FinCEN threats. One of the areas she's going to talk about is SAR filing and effective reporting related to these threats. And, frankly, this was not by design, but just by pure serendipity. Some of the key points, some of the knowledge that she was sharing as we prepared for it really overlap with another session later in the week, the greatest myths of SARs. So you can attend this first session, you'll get a little bit of it. And then in this next session, we're really going to dig into that. So the way that this event runs and the fact that so many of these themes and topics are inevitably interconnected in the real world plays out during the course of the event, and makes for, I think, a much more richer learning experience for you. There's also just a lot of cool stuff to talk about right now in the financial crime field. It's very eventful. There's a lot of tech-driven disruption. And we're really going to get into that during FinCrime Virtual Week. So we have a session on AI governance that is a very hot topic right now. We have a session on prediction markets that I'm really looking forward to, where we're going to talk about Polymarket as an example and insider trading and financial crime risk related to Polymarket. If anybody saw today, the state of New York is suing Kalshi, another prediction market, for basically illegal operations. So very much a relevant, timely topic. We're going to be talking about deepfakes and synthetic identity risks, everybody's favorite. On the an intriguingly titled session called "Does Your Phone Know You're on the Toilet?" We're going to be getting into proof of personhood, which I'm really interested to talk about, because increasingly we need to determine whether someone using your, for banks, fintechs, etc., using your services is in fact not just a authorized user, but an actual living person and not an AI agent, a bot, a malicious piece of software, etc. So we're going to get into that theme and struggles around the future of KYC too during the event. So yeah, those are a couple of things. One is the actual nature of the week-long event, the way it enhances your learning. Another is just the incredible hot topics and emerging issues we get into.
All right. Yeah, can't argue with that. And it sounds like Kimberly here agrees. She said the virtual events put on by ACFCS are my absolute favorite. I attend just about every one that you put on because I learned so much.
We see you there too. I always appreciate you.
Can we get her something fun? Can we get her something fun? Swag store or something? Because we got a swag store now, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right,
I'll see if we can get you a t-shirt or a hat.
Kimberly, keep an eye on your email inbox. I think somebody will be reaching out. Okay.
Wasim too. He's been really good on the chats here with that. Maybe
Wasim, who is always here, always engaged with us on social media. So yeah, let's see what we'll see what we can come up with. Hey, and for anybody who's tuning in, also while we're going through this conversation, let us know what events or what sessions you're excited about, or what topics you would like to dig deeper into during FinCrime Virtual Week. Probably any topic that you suggest. Almost guarantee you that there's going to be some mention or some discussion of that. So drop those in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking, and of course, make sure that you are registered. So, Aaron, I'm going to throw this next one to you. So, looking at the full week, what are you excited about? What are the ones that you marked into your weekly planner or whatever it is you use to organize it? Actually, I kind of feel like we almost, need like a bracket system that people can fill out to chart their course through FinCrime. Yeah. But for you, which speakers, which topics, which sessions are you personally most excited about?
Well, besides all of mine that I've been helping prep with all of my speakers, right? Because I have more of a affinity towards the people I know what they're going to be talking about. But all of them, obviously, like what we've got Wasim and Kimberly talking about, how they're excited for the whole mega event, all that stuff. So with that, I am really excited that we have more than the years past. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. We've got quite a bit of FBI presence this year. We have at least 3 sessions with 3 different special agents coming on to talk to us about FBI approaches to the elder fraud, a portion of it. The crypto asset forfeiture, that's what I'm going to have with an FBI special agent. I'm excited about that one. And at the end of the week, we're having 2 more, actually, 4. We have 4 total FBI special agents, 3 sessions. We're going to be talking about the different aspects of what they do. And then the last day, Friday, it's a FBI recruitment. Let's ask them anything. Let's talk about what they do to recruit, how they work. And there's 2, Jen Hayes and Jeffrey Reyes, who are going to be talking about what it's going to be like to be a special agent, white collar crime, what types of things to do to get in for the younger folks trying to break in. So that's going to be a really good one, especially for a Friday. We want to look at the career paths for our members and non-members on Fridays to talk about what it takes to get your leg up and to get into the door or advance in your career if you've been in for a while. So we like to really focus on that. So insider risk too, on the beginning of the week. Insider risk is we have a newbie speaker this year, Joshua Sinai. He has written more and forgotten more about insider risk than I think I'll ever know. And that's also another big one for me, because being former Intel myself, he brings up a lot of the properties of intelligence work, which is human intelligence, and the things to look out for that can make someone vulnerable, which we would call in the intelligence world the counterintelligence type of way to look at something. And he will talk about the insider risks and threats there. So you don't want to miss that one. That's going to be a really good one on Monday.
All right. I mean, that is one of the things that's just really, I think, unique about FinCrime Virtual Week. Not only the quality and quantity and level of expertise that we bring in, who better to learn investigations from than the FBI, than a FBI special agent, but also then the very practical, focused, career enhancing sessions as well. So we go not just from sort of the strategies or the ideas, but to the practical application that helps you not only learn more, but advance in your career. And I think that is really, really something that's very special about FinCrime Virtual Week. Okay, Cheyenne, this next one is for you. So this one is about the myths and legends themes. This year's theme asks attendees to separate financial crime myths from reality. What are some of the most persistent myths in AML, fraud prevention, or compliance that you hope the event will challenge? And before you answer, I want everybody to know that that incredible video trailer with dragons and warriors and heroes promoting FinCrime Virtual Week, Cheyenne was our incredible editor who put that together for us. Tip of the hat to you on that. That's a great video. But yeah, so what is it? What are the myths? What are the legends? What are the things that you are hoping to see dispelled or revealed next week?
So we have a full session on this called The Myths. Well, I don't have the title on hand, but it's going to be talking about the myths of AML.
Myths of compliance. Is it the
thank
myths?
you. Yeah, that's the one. It is going to be a spicy meatball. So I think that a lot of innovation and a lot of change comes from challenging what is the status quo. And if you want a session that's really going to turn what you thought you knew on its head, that is going to be one of them.
Come ready for some real talk.
Come ready for some real talk. Yep. And some spicy takes. I'm very excited. It's going to be such a great panel. Very interesting perspectives. Incredible speakers for that one. So don't miss that one. I think that there's a lot of myths in the pathway too, of how we get into compliance, where we go in compliance. And I just hope that some of these sessions might enlighten you to other paths that you can take, where you can really take your skill sets, your expertise, and build that into a career and to a path that you're really interested in. So there's a lot to look into. There's a lot of things to learn, and I learn every year in every prep session that what I thought I knew was not quite the way that it still is, or the way that it was or used to be. So come with an open mind. There's lots of information to share.
All right. Makes me excited for that one. That sounds
I'm so stoked. It's gonna be fun.
All right. So continuing our roundtable here, we're going to go back to Brian for this one. Thinking about what's new in 2026, we mentioned already a little bit that this year we're introducing the deeper dive formats, specifically in the myths of compliance sessions. That says sessions, so I think maybe there's multiple myths of whatever sessions. Either way, what's the why behind those deeper dive sessions, and how do they change, what the experience attendees will have kind of from what they maybe have experienced in previous years?
Yeah, we're taking on myths on Monday, the myths of AML, everything you thought you knew about AML. I think the implied but unspoken part of that title is everything you thought you knew about AML is wrong. But I don't know if we were bold enough to say that. But that's one of the myth sessions in Monday afternoon, and then we're revisiting the myths theme in suspicious activity report writing. We'll be taking on the greatest myths of SARS, lessons learned and paths forward on Thursday the 6th. At 1 p.m. Eastern. So we have a couple of sessions focused on, AML, transaction monitoring, et cetera, SAR writing, kind of the nuts and bolts of your compliance program. And then Thursday morning, there's a really interesting session. I would recommend you wake up early, tune in, stay up late if you're in some other time zone where it's rough for you. Maybe not that, but you can also catch this session on demand. You can catch most sessions on demand. I'll just say that if you can't make it. We do have some live only sessions with our government and law enforcement folks. That's just their requirement of participating. We'd love to, share those, but in order to allow them to speak on these sessions, we have to make them live only. However, the majority of the sessions during the whole week will be available to you on demand on the event platform. You will get a chance to watch them after the fact. So, mental myths on Thursday, the 6th, is our other myth focused session. And that's going to unpack how we talk to victims of fraud and what actually works, not just in fraud, but in communication to financial crime victims writ broad. Has some really interesting takeaways about how we normally do it, how we could do it, what works, what doesn't, what actually resonates with us. For example, do you entertain first and provide a narrative first, or do you hit them with the facts and figures first? Won't answer that question, but just throw it out there as one thing that we're going to be getting into on that session. So that should be a really good one. That is, again, Thursday, mental myths. So we have these cool, I think they're cool sessions focused on the myths and legend theme, really playing out, hey, how do we deconstruct some of these things that are holding us back as a financial crime prevention industry or could be holding us back. And then we have, as Clayton mentioned, some deeper dive sessions that run an hour and a half that really allow us to get into a topic. So there's a crypto fraud and AML red flags one that's looking at really global challenges, global issues around this topic. There's one on the financial trails of online child exploitation. That's a challenging but really, really important topic. Our friends at FinTrack, the Canadian FIU, have put together an excellent presentation going through a bunch of different case studies showing exactly how the money flowed from these different online exploitation schemes involving minors, and how there's opportunities to flag it, interdict it, and report it. So definitely recommend those sessions. They just give us more of a chance to get into both the case studies, deeper dives into the content, and dialogue with the audience itself in the form of Q&A and polls.
All right. Hey, and welcome, Oliver. Great to see you here in the Dominican Republic, the old standby.
Man.
Great to have you here, man. Hopefully we'll see you next week as well, Oliver. And just like in these live streams for next week, also bring your questions, bring your comments, right? We want to interact with you. We want to hear your feedback and the things that you see out there while you are in the wild, working, to protect assets and to protect your customers. So again, drop in the comments what sessions you're excited about, and then also make sure that when you show up for your sessions next week, that you have your list of questions or thoughts or things that you want to discuss, because it really is an opportunity for you to gain a deeper understanding with incredible expert guidance from folks on any of the issues that you encounter in your work to help you leave a stronger financial crime and compliance enforcement person. Okay, next question. So Aaron, we're going to go to you with this one. The opening keynote, we've mentioned a little bit already, examines fraud, professional money laundering, cartel activity, sanctions evasion, suspicious activity reporting. What does this combination of topics tell us about the priorities that financial institutions should be considering right now in 2026?
That's a good one. So without knowing what Dara's going to talk about, because I'm not prepping her on that one, Brian is. So I'm going to take a stab at what I think it should, at least, just for me. She's a fantastic speaker, so I'm really excited to get to listen to her. In my opinion, I think these last at least 2 to 3 years have shown us that money laundering is a profession. It's professional. That's the word that's coming across with these bigger organizations and the compound scams and all that. Money laundering is about convergence. And I mentioned earlier in the UN article that I was talking about how when I left Bank of America, and they're putting together the silos are being broken down. And I think all financial institutions are doing that now a lot more and a lot better in the ensuing years since I left. And I think it's fantastic. Convergence, bring it together. The silos need to be thrown down because this is an organization. Money laundering is a professional organization. And we could converge all of these to be able to talk better, share intelligence, identify connections across the accounts, wallets. Oh my gosh, we've got wallets, we've got payment devices, we've got channels, we've got SARS providing law enforcement with useful content. It's just a lot that we can take in. And if we keep it as siloed as we have in the past, we're just hurting ourselves. And to be able to converge and bring it together, it shows that it's one huge profession. Fraud is a profession, money laundering is a profession. And we need to make that profession extinct so that people can actually stop being victimized.
That's right.
I just came up with that, by the way. I literally
put them out of work.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Aaron. And Wasim says, I'm looking forward to learning more on crypto, stable coins, elder fraud, and AML risks in other regions, and that it'll be great to learn from expert scholars and law enforcement guardians from across the globe. And I think Wasim, I think you'll be in luck. Would love to hear what everybody else is also excited about. Okay, Cheyenne, you're up next. And this one, so several sessions that are on the agenda address AI-enabled fraud, things like deepfake impersonation, synthetic identities, and even like risks associated with agentic AI. Which AI-related developments should concern today's FinCrime professionals the most? And what practical guidance do you think attendees will receive in relation to AI and AI-enabled fraud?
So yes, all of them. You should not be worried about just one. You should be worried about all of them. I think where you see it in your institution is going to depend on what your institution does and what services you offer. But there's no way to get away from AI in this day and age. You see the cute videos of like puppies and cats and stuff on the internet, and you have to question whether or not they're real puppies and cats, which is honestly the biggest travesty of AI. That being said, there's no getting away from it, but there are best practices. So I have a session later on in the week, Thursday or Friday, I can't remember. They're all mixing together at this point. But we'll be talking about AI, how to use it, what concerns people have, how people are using it incorrectly, and how that opens them and their institutions up to risk. So there's a lot of just like basic hygiene tactics that it's important to keep in mind when you're looking at AI. But it's also, people can do things faster at a higher speed with more capacity to do it. So if you're throwing 20 hooks into the water, you're more likely to catch a fish than when you had to throw one hook at a time, right? So it's important to stay up to date on where AI is, where it's going, all of these risks that exist, because we don't exist in our individual vacuums. We exist in this wider world. But there's definitely things that we can do and things that we can keep track of. So don't miss the does your phone know you're on the toilet session, and the glamour and deepfake session that we have later on in the week with Dave Kramer and FINRA. That one's going to be a really good one, and they're both going to address some of those risks and concerns.
And Pam too. Pam Clegg is doing an AI-driven FinCrime program, and she's a fan favorite too.
Yeah. And it also, I think what you said, Cheyenne, at the end of the day, we still need to be very vigilant, but detecting fraud, even if it's AI enabled, still is grounded in the basics of knowing your customer, following the transactions, right? Like, it's not a separate world. It's just a new iteration on how we need to look at things.
Absolutely.
Got another great comment from Kimberly, who says, I'm most interested in trends in the elder fraud and financial abuse, combating online child exploitation with financial intelligence, governance lessons for AI-driven FinCrime programs, and anything else your amazing speakers can share with us. Kimberly, not going to be disappointed. All right, so back to Brian. Scams, trafficking, and organized crime. Recent reporting shows that many online scam centers rely on trafficked labor and operate as sophisticated national enterprises. How's FinCrime Virtual Week going to help professionals understand that convergence of fraud, human trafficking, and money laundering? Which, again, from our headlines, we can see that this is kind of the topic of the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to be getting into this in a number of sessions, so it's not just going to be one thing. It'll be a recurring theme throughout the week. One little sneak preview, and I don't want to steal the thunder of the presenters, but just prepping for the elder fraud and financial abuse session, one area of the transnational scamming landscape. It's interesting to see some of the developments there, kind of keying back to the stories we got into earlier. It's encouraging to see the international collaboration related to Southeast Asia, where a lot of this scamming originated and continues to be super prevalent. Based on what at least some of our presenters are going to get into, there's been progress there. It's still a huge area of risk, but it is maybe plateauing or even declining in some of the areas of fraud, particularly elder abuse. However, the flip side of that is that there's new geographic regions that have emerged as hotspots. So when it comes to elder fraud and financial abuse, we'll be talking about areas like Eastern Europe, Georgia in particular. That is a higher risk area, some scamming compounds that operate a little bit differently than the Southeast Asian scamming compounds, have a slightly different financial footprint, transactional footprint. So the other thing to keep in mind is that while we talk about AI deepfakes, sophisticated scam compounds, one of the most prevalent areas of fraud that one of our FBI speakers will highlight when it comes to older adults in particular, but not limited to that, is the good old tech support scam. Your machine has a virus, you got a pass to help you unlock it. Still super prevalent, still super profitable, still out there. So it's really a balancing act when we look at both, monitoring routines, typologies, reporting, and consumer education of the new trends, the hot stuff, and the oldies that continue to persist and continue to be huge challenges for us. So that's one thing we'll get into in several of the sessions throughout the week.
All right. Some of those greatest hits. This one can't see who that user is, probably because of their LinkedIn settings, but that's all right. This user said, great perspectives on balancing rapid innovation with strict regulatory frameworks, ensuring transparency across modern payment and digital asset channels is more critical than ever. Absolutely. That is, I think that's true. And probably some of those things will be covered next week. Just check the agenda and I'm sure you can find some sessions that hit on those things. Okay. So, all right. Aaron, so beyond understanding emerging trends, what specific investigative or compliance skills should attendees expect to take back to their organizations that they can start to implement almost immediately after wrapping next week?
Well, the one that comes to mind is the risk assessment section of Malika Ali. She is going to be talking about how risk assessment findings can lead to the investigative priorities. You're going to figure out where to look for first, what to look for first, how to even go about your investigation. It's going to be really good. That one is about risk assessment findings. I'm really excited about that one. So there's also another one about name matching through transliteration, the native language searches, and strengthening SAR documentation. Those are definitely going to be, and reporting it to law enforcement. These are big, huge things to think about when you're doing investigations, and blockchain evidence and how it supports crypto seizure and forfeiture. We don't talk enough about crypto asset forfeiture when it comes to crypto investigations or crypto compliance, I should say. And that definitely needs to be talked about more. And I know we here at ACFCS want to talk about that a lot more.
Very cool. Love that. Love the actionable, immediately useful tidbits, tools, and strategies that people can take away. Also had a great comment from Oliver. We need to delve deeper into the detection and dismantling of terrorist financing activities conducted via social media, instant messaging apps, and streaming platforms. This is a trending topic. So, Aaron,
absolutely.
I know you feel very passionate about that.
Yes. We're not necessarily touching on that on this event, but yes, we do, Oliver, and Oliver knows because he's such a good attendee to our events and things like that. I definitely put up a lot about terrorist financing, especially the intersection of terrorist financing and human trafficking. That is up on our YouTube channel. Brig Barker and Kevin Metcalf talked about that. That webinar is up there in full to talk about human trafficking and terrorist financing. I love, but hate to talk about it because it needs to be out there more. You're right, Oliver.
Yeah, good stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, and Brig also that you mentioned Brig in that video. We got to get Brig back on for some.
He's awesome. We will.
He's very good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about some of the networking and career development opportunities. Cheyenne, I think we're on to you. So, as usual, this event includes speed networking. We're also going to be talking about hiring insights, recruiter perspectives, multiple career-focused sessions, including the session that we mentioned earlier with the FBI. So how can attendees use the week not only to improve their current performance, but to expand their professional networks and, set themselves up to be ready for their next, career move or advancement?
All right. So a couple of things. After this live session, we do have an orientation. We'll do a deep dive on using the platform to the best of its ability, but on the platform itself, it's like our virtual event hall. So you can connect with people. We don't have the ability to do, like the virtual happy hour, so to speak, where you get to go and chit chat. But you can absolutely connect with other people who are attending the event and in these sessions. So we have the attendee chat available in every session. Definitely keep an eye there. Make sure you connect with people on GRIP and vice versa through LinkedIn afterwards to help build that network. One thing I love about the compliance community is just there's so many people who are so willing to share. So when you do connect with somebody, and if you have a question for them, we're all trying to help each other do better. So it's one of my favorite parts about FinCrime Virtual Week. Don't miss out on that. Speed networking, of course, we have it Tuesday through Thursday, 30 minutes, either 3-minute video sessions. So you get to drop a couple lines, make some really quick connections, and hopefully build those relationships. The other thing you can do is towards the end of the week on Friday, we do have those career sessions. I have one that's called Making the Unicorn, where it's like, you're not born the unicorn. Everybody wants to be the unicorn that is just headhunted and recruited and you get the big salary, but you have to work to get there. And so we're going to be going through with a couple of really experienced folks who had really interesting career paths that landed them where they are, as well as a recruiter who does, executive searches for people who fit those roles. So it's going to be a really interesting session for that one. There's a ton of ways to grow. Don't miss out. My favorite question of all time is, how did you get into AML compliance? Because almost no one I've ever talked to has intentionally landed here. But when we do land here, it's always really fun. And in the sense that like the community is so good, like people always want to help each other. So yeah, long and short, there's lots of opportunity to meet new people, to connect. If you do try to connect with us during the event, we will try to get back to you. We may be a little bit swamped, so maybe some delays with the moderators and the hosts. So just a heads up there.
Man, hearing from recruiters and learning from some of the absolute leaders and most incredible experts in this field, that is the value proposition right there. You will leave FinCrime Virtual Week with new skills and new connections and new ways to grow. So thank you, Cheyenne. That is dope. All right, everybody, last one. Everybody gets a chance. What is your number one pitch that you would give to somebody for why they should attend FinCrime Virtual Week? Rapid responses, rapid fire. Brian, what's your number one thing?
Because I think everybody who tunes into these sessions on LinkedIn, everyone who tunes into ACFCS sessions, generally events, webinars, cares about doing their job better and cares about actually detecting and preventing financial crime, right? You care about what you do, and we care about what you do, and we bring you an event that helps you to do it better. So if you're one of those people, and I think you probably are, you should be there for as much as you are able to for FinCrime Virtual Week.
All right, Aaron, what's your number one?
So blocking out a few hours a day for 1 week a year, or even more than that, nudge, nudge, could provide a new investigative technique when you go back to your desk, or a new connection with someone that could give you a new perspective on how to even look at your investigations.
Man, that one thing that you learn next week could be the thing that cracks open your next big case. Absolutely, absolutely could. We talked so many times, especially on the State Your Case podcast, about how one little clue or one little action is the thing that triggers, the unraveling of the case. So,
and speaking of that, sorry, we are always looking for speakers. So Cheyenne has put together a great speaker interest form and a State Your Case podcast speaker interest form as well. We can throw those up later. We throw them into the GRIP platform or whatever during FinCrime Virtual Week. We need you and want you to fill that out. We try to get back to those people who do write in that way, so that way we can see what you're best suited for, and we can get you on and get you highlighted.
Absolutely. Yep. And we will put the intake form into the comments on that so that you can join us. Okay, Cheyenne, what's your number one thing?
So when I was in AML compliance, one of the things that FinCrime Virtual Week introduced to me was just the different areas that you could go into. So I wasn't necessarily dealing with human trafficking on my day-to-day, but it was so compelling that I started looking into what careers there would look like. We have some folks who do forensic accounting, which is a whole separate path that you can take that is immediately adjacent to AML and BSA compliance. And so my takeaway is you're never far enough in your career that you can't learn more. You can always see what other places you can go and how we're all interconnected and working together to make the world just a little bit of a safer place.
All right. I love it. Hey, and another great comment from Jen here. So looking forward to it. I actually am one who's purposely seeking to start in AML compliance. Is that strange? And I don't think so. Not if you're here today. It's not strange at all. So thanks, Jen. And got another comment from Tijani. Good day to everyone. I'm interested in FinCrime and payroll frauds. So guys, we are pretty much at time. We're going to wrap it up. We got one actually deep thought here. Be sure that deleting AI cat videos is wise. Without them, how will our risk models ever learn to differentiate between a deep faked scammer and a very sophisticated tabby?
Good point.
Yeah, we're gonna have to think about that. I mean, that is a valid that's a valid point to raise. So, guys, thank you so much, Aaron, Brian, Cheyenne. Thank you for your time. We love having you guys here. Thank you, everyone who tuned in for this sneak peek of FinCrime Virtual Week. If you have not registered for FinCrime Virtual Week, go do it right now and make sure that you do not miss this event. It's going to be right there at acfcs.org/upcoming events. A couple other things that we've got coming up that I don't think anybody wants to miss. Later in August, we're going to have an OSINT another intro to OSINT workshop. So absolutely make sure that you sign up for that. That is another great way to really dive deep into OSINT and how to get your start there and use it in your investigations. In September, we also have a SAR writing workshop that's going to be on November 24th. Again, you can find all of the links to register for these at our events tab on the acfcs.org website. Also, we have a very cool new news site on the website, acfcs.org/acfs.news-articles. Go check that out. It is very cool. We have an updated feed of FinCEN alerts. Aaron, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add about that.
Multi-jurisdictional too. So we do EU, UK, we do Asia, anything that comes up on our searches, and we try to get it in there for you guys.
All right. So make sure to check that out, bookmark it. That would be a really good one to be a constant just kind of reference that you can go to and find, breaking news in the FinCrime and compliance space. As usual, and as Aaron mentioned, we are always looking for incredible stories of cases that you've cracked or incredible cases that you've covered for our State Your Case podcast. We will put the intake form in there. If you have a great case or know someone who does, go ahead and submit that there. And of course, we've gotten away from this, but our member spotlights, we're going to put the member spotlight form into the comments as well. If you know someone who is an incredible FinCrime warrior and is doing great work, let us know about them. You can even nominate yourself. Okay, no shade there, but please do. We'll put that into the comments so you can fill that out. We'd love to celebrate you and your accomplishments and achievements in this community. So yeah, let's spread the love there with some member spotlights. All right, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tuning in today. We will see you next week at FinCrime Virtual Week, and we will be back for our FinCrime Friday Chat on August 28th, I believe. That's the final Friday of August, where we'll also be talking about FinCrime Virtual Week, and we'll be doing a recap of the lessons learned and key takeaways. So don't miss that one as well. Thank you, everybody, so much. Stay vigilant out there, and we'll see you next week at FinCrime Virtual Week. Bye.